Hi, welcome back to Academic Market Insights and Happy New Year. This is our first video of 2026. If you're like a frequent watcher, you're a frequent viewer, you may note that the backgrounds have changed. Everybody's moving, etc. So yeah, we've been off the clock a little bit as we move around. I'm in a new space in Illinois, and Dr. Ademiak is in a new space down in West Lafayette. Um, we're going to talk about something that has been very, very, very much in the news lately, the prediction markets. And the reason they have been in the news lately is really because of what happened this past weekend in Venezuela with Maduro being apprehended. I'm going to try very carefully to avoid anything that sounds like I have an opinion on it. We just really want to talk about what purely happened in the markets here. And I know from the extensive conversations that we've had professionally, you know some things about the prediction markets, and I'll just let you talk about it because it's pretty fascinating.
Well, it's fascinating. I remember what 2, 3 years ago when we started talking about Kashi and you were explaining some of these things because I was unaware of them, and I thought, wow, that sounds very familiar to what I had been experiencing 20 years ago at a company called Peak Six. So they had created an internal prediction market and with the objective that they hire the smartest people and they have this idea that the collective wisdom is better than the wisdom of a singular person. And they were really looking at the group to make better decisions for directional trades. And because you've got all these traders trading, on behalf of the firm, but now we have some more directional ideas of what the entire collective group thinks. And it's just interesting that this is not a new idea. And because now we're seeing these prediction markets and there's all this buzz around it, these ideas have been going on for decades. And again, at Peak Six, it was an internal thing. So
Mhm.
it's just fascinating. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of firms, like I'm thinking Citadel, would have one of these things, right? Again,
Mhm.
if you truly believe that you're hiring the smartest people, why wouldn't you want that edge? Why wouldn't
And,
you want that direction?
and this would be people putting their own money in,
Hmm.
correct? I mean, that's one of the things about the prediction markets and the derivative markets, which I'll kind of dig into, is that anybody can jump on Twitter and go, I think the S&P 500 is going to 10,000 this year. Anybody can do that. But does somebody put in, has somebody actually put money to work with that opinion? And that's what you're seeing from these prediction markets is what are the odds of certain outcomes based on people, for lack of a better way to say it, placing bets on these things. And, opinions are one thing, but having actual money at stake is a completely different level of, of angst if you're not correct, for sure.
Absolutely.
So, so the event that got us going on this topic was Mr. Maduro, or probably the former. They call him President Maduro, but and then some people say you're not supposed to call him president. But so I'm just say Maduro. Maduro got apprehended over the weekend. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the Kalshi platform. I've done some work with the Kalshi folks in the past. It's one that I have an account with. It's one that I'm somewhat familiar with. I know that I see Polymarket being quoted out there in the marketplace. There was that's the marketplace that I think somebody bet 30 grand and made about 400 grand off of the Maduro situation. We don't know if that was somebody in Venezuela that happened to be in the neighborhood and hear the explosions. I know years and years ago there was a coup in Turkey, and we saw these weird option trades on a Turkey ETF late on a Friday afternoon. And actually, the coup got squashed. It was somebody bought a bunch of puts. The coup got squashed over the weekend, and they lost all the money that they had spent on those put options. It was really funny. It's like they big bearish. The tanks are rolling in to Istanbul. I'm buying puts on the Turkey Stock Exchange. no coup, weekend's over, lost all your money. So
Ooh.
there is still risk when you think that you know something. Now, the Maduro situation, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up Maduro markets, and then I'm going to do the closed market. Because I want to take a look at Nicolas Maduro out, and it has settled at yes. And $7.7 million was actually wagered on this just through Kalshi. Um, well, you like the numbers that have been, yeah,
I mean,
seven.
it's so it's not an insignificant amount of money.
No, no, it's not. And I do think a big portion of it occurred um, right as they were grabbing him. So I pulled up this closed market, and you can see, yes, yes. That means that was the final outcome. And they actually had you actually have a term structure of is Maduro staying in office? And
I
it
love
was
it.
the black line is February. So as you can see, let's just take a look where I'm kind of highlighting December 21st. There's less time for Maduro to possibly be kicked out for the February bet. More time for the March bet, but less time for the March bet than the April bet. And you can see those lines go up in order there.
Mhm.
It's pretty. I have no idea why that says 420 right there. Um, but and I find that kind of funny because that is a similar mentality that we have with VIX. The farther out you go, there's a possibility that we might get a volatility event. So you've got VIX higher as we go along. I could have created a term structure of Maduro being out, being pushed out. Now I'm going to go down to the February one, and what you can see is you can see right in here, this is where the event happened. And let me see if I can maybe do the last day. You can even see like the last day, a little pop up, and then, oh gosh, the news is out there. It's very possible that people were getting ahead of the news right here.
That's so amazing.
It's very possible. And what I am, and you're aware that my oldest daughter is interested in politics and interested in, she's majoring in journalism and actually works for one of the networks right now, covering the White House. Um, over the Christmas break, we've been talking about this, and I've been showing her how if you monitor these markets, you might actually be able to get ahead of breaking news, not to try and trade these things, but to, I feel like every major newsroom in the US or in the world should have someone that understands how these markets work. And maybe if they suddenly see a big trade involved in Maduro out, and I'm going to get to one that was a complete surprise in just a second. But you see some of this price action here when this was the actual event. Maybe you need to check what's going on in Venezuela.
Right.
Yeah. And there are people that have used the API to monitor a bunch of markets and get a heads up as to a big trade just happened there or a big trade just happened in different places. Um, you know, if a newsroom was doing something like that, they may be able to get ahead of breaking news. So there's money to be made here, but there's also maybe an information edge depending on what you're interested in. Now, this one I'm pretty sure snuck out. Um, Yesterday, and I want to make sure I spelled his last name right. I always want to put a Z in there, or always want to put a T in there, and I always want to make it WALTZ. So this was a one of the markets that he was involved in, or he wasn't necessarily involved in, but was will who will be here it is, the Democratic nominee for governor in Minnesota. And now everybody believes it's going to be Amy Klobuchar. I want to show you yesterday, uh, at the very end of a press conference about some of the other things that are going on in Minnesota. Walt said, I'm not going to seek reelection. And I do believe it was that he had not confided that in too many people. And I'll show you why I think that. Don't see this is this is yes, and this would be no. And you don't see this falling off a cliff.
No,
I mean, that's when he made the announcement. And if you saw
sure.
the press conference, he basically talked about a few other things, and he just said, "And with everything that's going on, I'm not going to run for governor anymore." Walked off the stage. Boom. Anybody that had a position in that, boom.
Yep.
So I think, again, this one, the one I'm going to go back to, this one, it looks like some of the news was sneaking out, and even days before, right there. If you heard Trump talk, Trump even said that they had delayed the go a couple of times. And I wondered if we would find a couple of pops going back where people thought, I'm hearing tonight's the night they're going to go try to get Maduro. I'm going to put money to work. And then, it came back down. But it definitely, this definitely is an instance of something slipping into the market. Now, you and I care about different things. So I'm going to let you throw something out there. What, something that's not political oriented. What would you like me to take a look at?
Well, I'd be very curious about interest rates. What's the Fed
Right.
going to do about interest rates? I know it's
Let's,
something that we talk about frequently, and it's something near and dear to our hearts.
yeah,
And you and I actually have different opinions on what should be done.
we do. So, under economics, will rates hit zero this year? No, yes, all that kind of goofy stuff. Where is the next decision on here? If I can't find it, I'll search for it. But who's going to be the first trillionaire? I should, I should, I should bet a couple bucks on myself and get myself on that list with who's going to be the next
You
trillionaire.
should. That'd be great.
Let's see, Fed decision.
We
Now,
were having a deep discussion
anybody that
yesterday
listens
about,
to me in the real world knows that I am fixated on the derivative markets, giving us an idea as to what what are people saying with money.
Mhm.
And in the derivative markets, not the Kalshi market that we're looking at right now, but the derivative markets, people will place bets based on where they think interest rates are going to be at certain time periods in the future. And you can use those prices to back into the odds of, what are the market odds of a Fed hike at the next meeting. Right here, the odds of a cut are 11%. The odds of a cut that's less than 20 or greater than 25 basis points, so that would be 50 basis points plus 2%, and that the Fed maintains, which would be no change, which is actually what the market thinks, is priced at 88%. And the way that you would go about trading that, if I, so I would say yes, pay 90 cents for yes. And if the Fed maintains the rate, see if let me just put the buy in there. I don't have any money in this one. This is not my personal account. But I could do 90 cents. And then at the Fed meeting in January, which is the 28th, yeah, January 28th, if at the Fed meeting at January, if I pay 90 cents right here, they do not change interest rates, they maintain the current target rate, I would get paid out $1. And so 90 cents to make $1, 90 cents to make 10 cents. We back into those odds at 88% based on that price of 90%. And in fact, some of their markets are priced in dollars, and some of them will be priced at the odds of something happening, which initially it was always priced in dollars, and people found it more interesting um, to look at the percentages. And you can spend. I have a bad habit sometimes of going down uh, rabbit holes on here. I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole on here. I'm going to stick with the Fed decision. Now, in addition to the Fed decision, you've got predictions of where the S&P 500 may close each day of the week. You've got
Mm.
all these different things with respect to the markets that you can trade on Kalshi. You can also trade them in the financial markets. And one of the things that I wanted to show here was Kalshi right now. Actually, it's just popped up to 90% that they made 88%, 90%. These markets do change live as you're watching them, but 88% chance the Fed maintains a rate. I have the Bloomberg version of this, and the Bloomberg version of this right now is saying that there's a 17% chance of a cut and because it's negative of a cut, that means they're saying there's an 83% chance of the Fed doing nothing. If you dig hard enough, you're going to be able to find an arbitrage in here.
Yeah.
I've found them with the S&P 500 and S&P 500 daily index options, and they're really small. One of the reasons that you're able to find an arbitrage in here is the total volume on this is $6 million, which is not inconsequential, but that's not even the size of an institutional trade, and that's the
Sure.
whole market. So individuals, I actually do believe that there might be some small ARB opportunities in here.
And so I have a
I have
question
not let you talk.
I have a question about the ARB. So correct me if I'm wrong in my thinking here. The reason why you're saying that there's an arbitrage opportunity is we have the same decision, so the same trade, two different markets, and these two different markets have two different prices.
They have two different prices, and if the cost of trade, and that the whole 88% versus 83%, that 5% might be a bit ass spread. I don't know, probably not, but I feel like if I dug hard enough, that I would be able to find a way to trade Fed funds futures versus this. And what these really are is they are binary options. So if you think of them as a binary option and you
For the
incorporate that
fan,
binary
for our
payoff
fans,
into other
wait, wait, wait.
markets,
For the
what?
fans, what's a binary option?
Binary option is an all or none option. It pays off either a dollar or zero
Okay.
based on, it's basically an all or none bet.
Okay.
And we had binary options on the S&P 500 at at SIBO years and years ago, and I actually came up with I came up with one payoff diagram that looked like Bart Simpson's head.
Oh,
If you and what it did
yeah.
was the closer you were to a round number, the higher the payoff.
Okay.
It was like almost trading the pin. But
Okay.
it was like it was an iron condor, but the payoff was a zigzag.
Okay.
It was I called it the Bart Simpson. They wouldn't let me. They said it was so silly they wouldn't let me teach it anywhere or share it anywhere. So
Oh, that's a
only
shame.
about three people have seen the Bart Simpson. But yeah, these prediction markets, and again, you'll hear talking heads say, well, the consensus on Wall Street right now is 50% chance of a cut and 50% chance that they don't do anything. And then I look at this and I'm like, well, that's not what the market is pricing in. And I do feel like over the past few years that a lot of the talking heads, especially because CME Group shares a tool that gives you the Fed outcome position or potential Fed outcome. It's very constant on Bloomberg. On Fed, as we lead up to Fed days, everybody's talking about the odds, the market odds, not what the different Wall Street economists are saying. So I think there's a lot more validity in a prediction that involves people putting money to work, even if it's only $6 million. It's still individuals that are, it's a better prediction than a survey
Sure.
in my mind. So
Absolutely.
there. So we're gonna spend more time on prediction markets for sure. I'm gonna come up with an arbitrage and impress the whole world.
I think our
Um,
number one fan would be blown away.
our our fan would love that one. So all right. Well, with that, you're much better at closing things off than I am.
Well, again, we appreciate everybody who has joined us. Happy 2026. If you like this video, please hit like. And if you haven't already subscribed, we have big plans for 2026 and are looking forward to spending the upcoming year with you. Thank you.